My name is Adrian, and I wear bilateral cochlear implants. I had chicken pox when I was around 1 year old, and wore a hearing aid until I was 15. Throughout my childhood, I spent most of the time learning to read lips, speech development, and listening skill. It wasn't easy, and it took a long time. Eventually, when I was around 15, I couldn't hear much with my hearing aid, and my mom asked me about cochlear implant. I was sort of resistant to the idea of having cochlear implant, but later on, I decided to get one. After a year of wearing cochlear implant, I spent roughly 5 years going through the speech and listening therapy to learn how to hear all over again. I was able to hear a lot than I was used to, so I was grateful. Um, I define myself as a deaf person, even though I'm able to speak and listen. However, in my natural state, without any tool, I am deaf. If I wear my cochlear implant, then I would be hard of hearing. So it's like a switch for me, identity switch per se. Um, I sometimes go back and forth between signing and talking, not both, because that's kind of a conflict. Sometimes I talk without my cochlear implant, but it wouldn't be fair for the other people if they can't sign. So I'm working on that to avoid speaking and just sign if I'm not wearing my cochlear implant. My identity evolved over time based on how much I hear. I don't really remember how much I can hear back then before my cochlear implant. It was blank to me. I remember seeing things and going through speech therapy and all that stuff, but how much I hear, nothing. I can't remember. I was being me. So my identity wasn't clear until I went to college, and it was apparent that I wasn't sure where I could place my identity. At RIT, I met different deaf individuals with different kind of hearing ability, and it helped me develop my identity. The bottom line is I'm still deaf, and I'm me. Um, 5. I usually say to others that I can't hear very well, and I read their lips. Sometimes I hit or miss because people assume that deaf people can't talk. So if I say, hey, I'm deaf, and people will be like, what? You can't be deaf if you can talk. It doesn't make any sense. So it's pretty common that I get that kind of response. And I'll be like, yo, man, I can read your lips, but I can't hear. But I can talk. Just want to let you know. Because if I just sound off the bat, and they were like, oh, they'll be stuck. They don't know what to do with me. So I decided, just be like, you know what, I can say something to you, just make sure I can understand because I can't hear. Um, I managed to get by. The factors that I think went into the development of my identity is how I approach life and the people around me. They basically molded my identity as much as I molded myself. Like my dad's Italian culture and my mom's American culture. and my deaf culture. Those three things are kind of combined together, shaping who I am, I guess. And I think it's important to me that you have a solid identity, because without it you get lost. You can spend a whole life wondering who you are, but I think it's impossible because you will have an identity based on who you're with, based on the culture, based on what you do for a living, and the people, how you react to people in terms of communication and your interest as well. So it all depends. All that factors basically shape who you are. And in my case, with the culture that I grew up in, like my dad's and my mom's and my deaf culture, it shaped who I am. And this is who I will be forever, a deaf guy with cochlear implant. So I hope that answers your question. Bye.